Hey guys, it's William Schufeld, aka Brody the Red Ranger, and I want to say it is morphin time. You guys are watching it here at Action Activate.
It's me, Gazbot. I am here for Action Activate. And of course, with me as always is, well, usually the big Dawg Defender. He could not be here today. I forgot to put my banner. Boop, there it is. He could not be here with me today, but he did send a message.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
Thank you for letting us know once again, affirming that. So we're here talking about Dino Fury Episode 1, which aired a couple hours ago today. This is Saturday the 20th. The first new episode of the first fully Hasbro season. Speculation that maybe it's the last, but regardless, it's new and it's exciting. And funny enough, Big Dog and I usually review together. And lately we've been reviewing as we watch live, but we're usually a couple days after the fact or whatever. Because it's hard to do it on the day it comes out. And there's so many people that do it at that time. But we were like, well, for this one special episode, let's get together and do it on time. And we decided this a while ago. Then they announced the date and he is out of town because it's his girlfriend's birthday and he couldn't get out of it. So we said, okay, we're still going to do it on the day. What we'll do is we'll both watch it and record ourselves. And we had like a list of points so that and then I would cut them together. So it would sort of be like, we wouldn't be recording together, but you'd be watching a video together. He couldn't do that. I ended up getting the free trial of Philo, which a lot of people talked about, and so I was able to watch it. I don't know if I'll keep Philo or not, but I at least had it for this week. He has a subscription, and his didn't work. So my free trial let me work, and his didn't. I don't know what's going on there, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go through the points. I have my little notes here. I'm going to go through the points that we said we would talk about and give my solo review, and then whenever he gets his done, I'll put it up separately. So hopefully you get mine the day it comes out. Maybe his will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. But, at least this way, our plan of getting a review up today, Saturday, will happen. Unfortunately, it's just me, Gazbot. So, Dino Fury. Oh, I had wanted to have it sort of playing in the background if I could. So let me see if I can cue that up. I had it set up and then I turned it off when I'm not very technical is what the technical term for me is. Not very technical, I think is how it goes. So I'm going to share screen and good. Here we go. Yep, I'm doing it, guys. I'm doing it, ladies, friends. Oh, I think I'm doing it. Oh, do you like that? I'm not doing it. Oh boy. All right. I'm going to try one more thing and then I'm going to give up on this. And I should cut all this out, but I won't, because here's what's happening. Also, usually the big dog will vamp and talk and I'll cut to him and I'll kind of try to figure this stuff out on the side. But I'm not doing that. I'm doing it myself. So I'm trying to vamp and talk to you while doing it, which makes both of those things harder. So I'm going to try this one more time because I can't really play the whole thing anyway because I'll get a copyright strike. But I just wanted to be able to share a little bit just to give us an idea. So here we go. Doop, doop, doop. I think I got it. I got it. Okay, so I am watching on a Philo. So I'm going to hit play. So there's no sound. Here we are, Dino Fury. The weird thing is this is the opening, but they kind of had a commercial before it where they talked about what you're going to see in the new power. And they afterwards is too, where both were a little bit spoily-ish. So talking about the opening, and I'm going to cut back to me because I don't want to show too much of this right now. Talking about the opening, the song and the credits, that is. It was short. There was only 3 Rangers shown, so I assume it'll be longer later when we get the other 2 and then eventually a 6th Ranger and whatever else. So it was a little bit weird that way. I prefer that they don't show the other Rangers that we're not supposed to know who they are yet. But it's hard to judge it based on the fact that it's very short. The song we had heard before, people in the comments had asked me what I thought about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's kind of whatever. It's different from what we've had the last couple seasons, but not different enough. I feel like usually what we've had the last couple seasons is a variation on the Go-Go Power Rangers Mighty Morphin, like an updated and then their own little twist in it. And a lot of people don't like that. I'm fine with that. And I'm also fine when they go way out there, like, you know, with SPD or Jungle Fury or Lightspeed Rescue or whatever. I feel like this one was like in some weird, getting to be a little bit different, but not different enough. And it had sort of a techno, like Daft Punky kind of thing going on, but not enough. So, and it seems weird to me. Like, I feel like if anything, Beast Morpher should have had more of a techno song, and this one should be more like heavy drums, rock and roll, because it's like primal, you know, dinosaur stuff. So that's where I'm at that. It's not my favorite. It's kind of like a weird choice. I don't hate it. There you are. The next thing we're going to discuss is environment, meaning, well, actually, I'll go back to where you can see, meaning exactly this. You can see them walking around the YouTube kind of TV station, which I guess sort of exists. Not here, clearly I'm in my office, but I guess big channels like Screen Rant or whatever might have this sort of thing going on, at least not, you know, to some extent. I like that it's modern and it's not her working at like a newspaper or something. So I do think that's cool. I like the colors and stuff. I used to work at an animation studio called Sesame Network, and it had very similar color schemes. So that rang true to me. And I like that her boss isn't particularly interested in her ghost stories, but isn't a jerk about it. That being said, I don't think that's going to be our primary location. It's kind of cool that we have this other location. It seems like the primary location is going to be the base they find under the statues. Which is fine. I like overall that it's not based in a high school. I like that we're not doing the high school thing again. A lot of it reminds me of Dino Charge. And I like Dino Charge, but I don't want to see retreading too much of the same, which we haven't got there yet. But the underground base, and I do wonder if Blue's mom might get involved. I don't know, maybe. But at the very least, we have... It just reminds me of Dino Charge. And again, that's not terrible because I like Dino Charge, but... now I'm going to put this back on again for a second because this leads to another thing. Wait, actually, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Because I forgot. See, I could just ramble, but the big dog and I are trying to sync up. So even though we're not literally syncing up, point for point, we should be able to address different things. So that's kind of what I feel about that. The basic premise of the show is fine. Okay, I do have to cut to this. I'm sorry. Because this is when Pink uses her ghost detector gun and fires the net at Blue. And I'm sorry, I'm just using their colors because I forget their names right now. I think it's Ollie and something. The fact that she got it online or whatever, fine. It could be a fraud ghost detector. Or it could be what somebody believes is real, picks up EMP, whatever. But it's a net firing gun, which do exist, but they're, I don't know, like it seems like military or police stuff. I don't know if civilians could get that. All plausible weirdness. But then the fact that it has like an electrical sort of stun setting, the whole thing feels to me like Ninja Steel. And even the fact that she's the Pink Ranger, where Pink Ranger always just had like a hoverboard and there was always that sort of super science that was never explained. I did not like that in Ninja Steel. And I hope that doesn't happen in this. I hope it's just a weird one-off that they wanted to make a joke that he was a ghost. That being said, I do like both of these actors. I like actually all the actors we see in this episode do a fine job. I have no problem with any of the acting. Everybody does fine. Okay, so the basic premise, it is weird because I'm kind of running it, but I'm also going out of order. So the basic premise is fine. Going back to Ninja Steel, while Ninja Steel wasn't my favorite season, I loved the idea of like the game show part of it. And Beast Morphers, it had like, what was the name of the character? I don't want to say the wrong name. Vengeance. No, I did it wrong. It's Evox. Evox was, from this other dimension, and there was like cyber, it's different. I like it when it's not just like I'm an evil villain that wants to take over and make things big or whatever. And so it's not that. I mean, we don't know. Well, we don't know exactly yet because we see the Void Knight and he wants these little power things. And it seems like they're a power source, but then it turns out they're monsters. What were they called? They were called Sporix. And they look cool. They look like little like eggs, like fish eggs almost that glow. And I thought he was going to take them and use them as a power source, but like a literal power source. But I guess his power is that like he means power by like monsters that will fight for me. And he seems really upset later when they all escape. But it seems like they're going to grow and fight for him anyway. So it's a little unclear what's going on there. The premise is, I don't love it. Again, I don't hate it. It's kind of like the theme song. Well, it's not like the theme song. The theme song can be fixed, but meaning not fixed like it'll be improved, but fixed like it will not change. I'm still not clear on what the premise is going to be. We've only seen one villain. Presumably they're like a lieutenant or a general and there's somebody above them. I don't know. It didn't grab me as amazing or super unique, but we haven't really seen it full yet. The closest I could think that it reminds me of is maybe like Dino Thunder, because that was also a little bit nebulous at times, although, you know, he was like, I want to revert the world and stuff, but like the different characters had different motivations and it was like not super straightforward all the time. Yeah. So base premise, blah, 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 blah. I like the dinosaur character. I forget her name, the cyborg dinosaur. I like her. I think the suit looks cool. I like the idea that they're going to have a non-human. I think she looks better than Keeper did, for example. I don't like that her mouth doesn't move at all. If they establish, oh, she's got psychic powers or something like that, and she's communicating that way, fine. But the fact that the mouth doesn't move at all, it just bothers me. And it bothers me in all of Power Rangers when characters talk and their mouths don't move, unless they address it in some way, shape, or form. Because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I don't know. That's just a pet peeve of mine. But I do like the way she looks. I like the way she acts. I like the voice. It all works for me, except for the mouth. Okay, going back to the basic premise, the fact that they found these statues and underneath is the base and all that, fine, whatever. The statues are weird. It's weird that they've been there for maybe 65 million years and no one's really studied them. And they're so like well done and just kind of in the middle. It's not like they're hidden somewhere. So like, it's odd that this is the first time somebody studied them. You know what I mean? It's also odd that just by scanning to see if there's something underground, because like the architecture mom said, like, oh, we're just looking to see if there's hollow areas, that activated them and they're like eyes lit up and stuff. Like, okay, but just from being scanned, and this is the first time they've been scanned in any way, shape, or form. I'm willing to go with it, but it's just, I feel like it should have been in a hidden cave that they just discovered, not like, oh, everybody knows about, you know, what do they call it? Dinohenge, something like that. And I get it. It's like Stonehenge with dinosaurs, which is cool. It just, I don't know. It just felt like anybody could have stumbled on that at any time over millions of years, and this is the first time it's really happening. It just seems weird. Again, some of this stuff could be explained later, and if it is great, this is just my first impression. Also, the flashback to dinosaur times, I have mixed feelings about. Well, first of all, what dimension are we in? Is it the Dino Charge dimension? I don't think. Well, we know it's not because the dinosaurs don't seem to be around. Is it its own dimension? Is it in like the prime dimension where several seem to exist? The fact that they have like the whole dimension thing is weird. I should probably not even think about that. Is it in the Beast Morphers dimension is really what I wanted to know. And I guess if they have a crossover, we'll find out one way or the other. But the flashbacks, on the one hand, I love that we see the Red Ranger like in a Space Knight outfit riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex fighting a giant monster. That's awesome. On the other hand, the Morphin Masters show up and they look weird, and it's like, okay, I guess this is like a pretty big piece of the mythology to just be shoehorning into this little thing here. And then if they've been around 65 million years, okay, well, have we had Power Rangers for 65 million years, but just not on Earth? And like, I don't know. It just seems, and I know some of this is explained in comics and things like that, but like as a TV show only experience, it seems kind of out of nowhere. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It was a little weird. So villains. Okay. I like Void Knight. He looks cool. He acts cool. His voice is fine. I like everything about him, and I can see his helmet looks like the Rangers, his sword looks like the Rangers, and I'm glad when they finally wake up the Red Ranger, he's like, where did you get that armor? And he's like, it's mine now. So they address clearly he is an evil Power Ranger. Clearly it was stolen or defeated someone, or maybe in one of his night pals that's been corrupted and lived and turned evil. I like that they got that all out up front, where it's not going to be some weird reveal later. Like, we know he's an evil Ranger, and it's cool that we're seeing an evil Ranger right in the beginning. And he kind of reminds me of Korag, even though I haven't seen Mystic Force. I kind of know what he looks like. I think he's cool. I like everything about him so far. I like when the dinosaur lady throws the thing like, hey, the henge guards will fight for you, and he catches it, like, nope, fight for me. That was a cool moment. Because it was like, again, a competent villain. Here, let me put some stuff on screen again. A competent villain doing a competent villain thing. And B, because we got to see where the villains are going to get their henchmen, their foot soldiers. You know, like, clearly these were part of another force, and he stole them, and that's interesting to be able to see that beginning. The other thing is, I do like the foot soldier. I think they look cool. I think the Spartan got a hut. Like, I like that. I like their weapons. I like everything about them so far. It's kind of a bummer to me that they're not good, because it would have been cool if they had these guards for their base. But you know, whatever. So. Humor. Okay, the next thing is humor. There wasn't a ton of humor. I mean, like, there was some, like, I guess the humor of Pink shooting Blue with the net. I mean, that wasn't exactly funny to me. Oh, actually, this I think was humor. we got two humorous things. This is the obvious one. It hasn't happened yet, but this is Officer, I forget his real name, Ranger Buzzkill, Pink calls him. And then the archaeologist mom's like, oh, sorry, Ranger Buzzkill, acting like that's really his name. He's like, oh, that's not my name. It's Garcia or whatever it was. Fine. It's a fine joke. It didn't make me fall out of my seat laughing. Didn't make me groan. It was like, okay, there is humor. I feel like this character will be a humorous character. What I worry, though, is that it's going to be a thing where this is their secret base and he's going to be watching them. And every time they go in and out, they're going to have to come up with some weird way to avoid him. I don't want to see that every episode. But if once in a while he shows up and does something, that's fine. I think the bigger comic relief character is one we haven't really seen yet. I think it's going to be when they were at the studio, there was someone else filming and it was a girl talking about glue. And she's like, and don't eat the glue. And like, I predict she will be a comedic character along the lines of Ben and Betty, or actually more specifically along the lines of Fran from Jungle Fury. I think she will be that kind of character. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll both be comedic, whatever. But that something about they focused on her, and I'm like, that's something there. Other than that, there was a joke that I liked a lot. Where was it? Oh, when they turned into Power Rangers and they have the swords and whatever, and they're fighting, and one of them says to the other, like, man, we got the weapons and powers and suits and like all this new stuff. What else do we get? And they're like, well, if you watch the news, Zords. I thought that was funny. I thought it was self-aware, meta. It lets us know that this universe has had some Power Rangers. Going back to the dimension thing, we don't know if it's Beast Morphers or Mighty Morphin or what universe they're in, but they are not. I like when they acknowledge any season that acknowledges the Power Rangers exist. They're not the first ones. People know what they are. It's not this weird, what's happening? Like I like that because there's so much history. It's weird if they don't acknowledge it. So I like that. Then powers. I like that Pink and Blue, when they got their powers, like they were fighting and doing it. And I also like that they acknowledged, like, oh, I've taken karate, I've taken fencing. Like they didn't have to do that, but I like that they established this is why they could kind of fight as civilians already. And then I like that when they get their powers, they obviously are stronger and they use the swords and they're holding their own more. Instead of just trying to like stay alive, they're actually kind of fighting. But when the Red Ranger wakes up, who's a veteran, he was a knight and a veteran Power Ranger as well, he starts hitting them and he's like one-shotting them. They're just disintegrating, the Henge guards, whereas they're actually kind of like sword fighting with him. And I like that it shows such a difference in skill and power level. Yeah, he's a Red Ranger. Red Ranger's usually stronger, but to me it was more about he knows what he's doing. He knows how to fight. He knows how to use these powers. So they got more powerful, just like if you made me super strong, I'd be more powerful. But if you made a martial art master super strong or a trained soldier super strong, they're going to be better than me. And that's how I took it. And I liked that. And, they could get more powerful over time. And it even says at the end, time for training. So I like that. I also like, hold on a second. Oh, I also like when he takes his sword and turns it into a dagger. It doesn't work out well for him, but I like that he's like, I got an idea, dagger, throw, and it like that knocks the sporix out. So it didn't work out, but I liked that that's an option, it's a possibility. They often have main weapons that get turned from like a gun to a sword or whatever. But I don't know. It's something about making it a projectile. Like it just seemed different, like I don't know. I liked it. What was I going to say? Show the foot soldiers. So the Red Ranger, another thing, this was Big Dog's main suggestion. Red Ranger last versus current. So the last being Devin from Beast Morphers, and now the Red Ranger, whose name escapes me, shockingly, with the antenna. And from spoilers, we know that he's going to find a way to like either retract them or hide them or whatever. Speaking of the Red Ranger, there he is. Oh, we saw him for a second. So they're still hiding, and he's like in stasis, which I thought was cool too, that it's like, here's a Power Ranger, but then like he doesn't get to do anything for a while. It's hard to compare the two because this Red Ranger doesn't really show up till the end of the episode. He does some cool Red Ranger fighting stuff, but his character, we don't get to see that much about except for backstory flashbacks. So in terms of which I like better or who's the better Red Ranger, I don't know yet. What I will say is there's two Rangers he reminds me of a lot. One is Andros and the other is Orion. Andros more, especially with his like more stoic personality and the fact that he's lost his team. But Orion from Super Mega Force, his whole planet was lost. And like, so the flashbacks where it shows his whole planet under siege and stuff, that he's an alien. They're both aliens. So those are the two he reminds me of, but Andros more. And which is interesting because so much of this reminds me of Dino Charge that I didn't expect there to be like such a strong in-space feel vibe coming in too. But they do that. So props to them for that. Yeah, Void Knight is very cool. And I'm just looking over at my monitor here. This is where they're all getting cornered. And the base does look cool. It reminds me of something. I can't think of what. Hey, commercials. But yeah, so I don't know what I think of the Red Ranger too much, except for what I've just said. My overall thoughts on the production. It seems like they're doing a good job. They're not cheaping out. There's a lot of extras in the background doing things. It looks very like a lived-in environment. Like I said, they build cool sets and stuff. And the CGI at times is a little weak, but that's par for the course. It's like average for TV. It's not extra bad, extra good, whatever. So all the production seems fine, on par with the last couple seasons. What I will say is it feels a little bit like, even watching the commercials as they come on, it looks a lot like other Disney/Nick shows. In the sort of the slick polished nature and just sort of something about the colors or the vibe, which isn't terrible. And hopefully if kids like that kind of thing, it gets more kids into it. But I just feel like Beast Morphers felt like it was vectoring away a bit from the last 4 or 5 seasons, which all were very similar in terms of acting and quality and like what you like about it might be different. But in terms of like just the feel and the look, there was a lot of similarity to them. And I felt like Beast Morphers started straying away from that, and this is bringing us back to that. Again, I get very strong Dino Charge vibes, and not just because it's dinosaurs, but just, I don't know, the way it looks, the way the interactions are, the way they're coming together in this little dino base, and I don't know. So I think it doesn't seem cheap. It seems like they're doing their best to make a good show. I don't know if I love that they're kind of going backwards, in my opinion, in the direction of the vibe, for lack of a better term. That has nothing to do with quality of how good the story might be or anything like that. And maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe this is just the beginning and whatever. The other thing, yeah, okay. So the other thing is, I also thought it would be more different because last season was sort of a hybrid Hasbro Saban. This is full Hasbro. So I was like, well, it's going to be different for sure. And it's less different than the hybrid season. And I'm thinking of like when Disney took over, there was Wild Force, which was still kind of in the ballpark, and then Ninja Storm, and they got further and further away from that early Saban feeling. So if there are more seasons after this, maybe it'll continue to change and get different. But it just surprised me because I feel like we veered more away last season than we are this season. And some people might say that's a bad thing, that's a good thing, whatever. I wanted it to be different. I like the seasons that are different. When all the seasons kind of feel the same, it's less exciting. It's less distinct. So let's see. Overall thoughts on the team so far. I mean, it's hard to make these calls, but Blue is my favorite so far. I like that he's like the sciencey, cynical guy, and he's not a jerk, but he's like, come on, Ghost, come on. You know, he's like, I don't know. There's not much to go on any of them, and I don't dislike any of them. But Blue is my early favorite, let's say. Although I potentially, we'll just leave it at he's my early favorite. And as I said before, I do like that we got introduced to the Rangers separately. We got a lot of time with Yellow, then Blue and Yellow together, and then we got the, I guess, I want to say mentor, but I don't think the dinosaur is going to be the mentor. I think the dinosaur is more like the assistant, like the Alpha 5. I could be wrong about that. But I think part of that is because we have the Red Ranger who, like Andros, already kind of knows what's going on and stuff. So maybe we won't have a mentor. I don't know. But I like that we got to see interactions of just Yellow, then Yellow and Blue, then with the mentor, then Red comes along. So and we didn't even see the other two Rangers. And again, they did that, and they've done that with other seasons. But Dino Charge specifically, I remember that happening. And they did, and also in Samurai, they had the Red Ranger was the only one that was already a samurai, and they introduced more. But I like that. That's a good thing. I like that. Okay, overall thoughts on the episode. So we're in the home stretch here. Wow, this is going longer than I thought. I was just thinking like, well, I'll put the episode on, but I'll probably run out of footage by the time. I'll probably run out of things to say by the time we got to the end of the footage. But I'm just throwing in some clips here. That was a cool move where they duck back together. Yeah, I really do like these foot soldier cannon fodder guys. I like almost everything about them. Okay, getting off of that. So overall thoughts on the episode. I hate to be negative, but I wasn't impressed is the best way to put it. It wasn't terrible, but it didn't wow me. Like I was really excited for this new season, and it's the Hasbro season, and it's Dino Nights. Dino Fury. I did not do that on purpose, but I've been calling it Dino Nights for so long, just like most of the fandom. I think the swords are awesome. So as an episode, just as an episode of Power Rangers, an episode of TV, I give it a B. It was solid, it had some action, it had some whatever, and it was fine, and there's nothing really wrong with it. But as a first episode, an opening episode to get people interested in this. Oh, hold on. I really like this part where the swords were glowing, kind of looking like lightsabery. But it kind of bummed me out. Like it did this thing where, oh, they're chosen and they have the morphers, and like that, there was a really good buildup. And then when they actually morph, it was kind of disappointing to me because she's like, oh, here's the keys, take them. Like, yeah, we got the keys. Luckily, Void Knight didn't intercept him that time. Otherwise, I guess actually, he's already Ranger, so he'd stop them from Rangers. But then this mist comes down, which is kind of like a lightning bolt hits them. And I know that almost looked like a constellation. And I know that this won't be their final morph, but it was like a really good buildup. And I don't know, it just kind of, it was anticlimactic the way they just, then they're Rangers, you know? And I know that later it's going to be a big thing when they, ready, morph time, you know? I don't know. It was just a really cool buildup of like, oh man, they're in kind of, again, like with the energems where it chose them, you know what I mean? And this fight scene is very cool. I have no problems with the fight scene here. Actually, I'll throw that up so you can look at that while I'm talking. So, but yeah, the first morph was a little underwhelming. Oh, so what I was saying is I give this as an intro episode a C. Average, satisfactory, fine. I think if someone's already watching Power Rangers, they'll be like, okay, well, I'll keep watching, but they're not like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a great season. At least not just based on this intro. Again, this fight scene is pretty fun, notwithstanding. And I also think if someone has never watched Power Rangers as a kid or whatever's watching this, I mean, it's good, it's fine, but I don't know that it's as exciting as some other first episodes I've seen. I mean, maybe I'm being too hard on it, but maybe it was just built up so much for so long. But yeah, as a let's get people into the show, I give it a C. It's serviceable, it does its job, but it's just, I don't know, it didn't hype me up the way I thought it would. I was more excited for episode 1 than I am for episode 2. And not that something bad happened, it just, I thought I'd be like supercharged and excited after watching it, and I'm not. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's more Power Rangers and I like it, and here we go. The first morph, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of potential in this show. There's a lot of things that could be awesome. There's the villain Void Knight seems cool. The whole dinosaur secret society thing and the alien. There's a lot of potential for things to get better as we go on. I just hope that it isn't a letdown. You know what I mean? I hope it's not just retreading the ground Dino Charge did and Dino Thunder did. And I don't mind if we bring in some of those characters or bring back some of those themes. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff, but I want it to be its own thing. And I like that they're tying space into it. And I hope they lean into that, make it a little bit more sci-fi. And I guess they did that in Dino Charge too. I don't know. I just want it to be different. I don't want it to be the same. And it isn't yet, but there's a lot of potential to do new different stuff. Like also the fact that the Void Knight is controlling the Henge guards, as they call them. If they could get them back at some point and have them on their team, that would be awesome. We've never seen the Rangers with like a team of foot soldiers. That would be amazing. I would love to see that. That would really, float my boat or whatever you want to say. This is weird. It's such a weird way to do this because usually I'm talking to Big Dog or I'm just talking to you guys, but I'm sort of consulting my notes. So I'm sort of talking to Big Dog while you guys watch. Anyway, hopefully this is making sense. It looks great. I love the suits. I wasn't sure if I would. Like when I saw Ryu Soldier stuff, there's something about like the line in the middle that looked like a corkscrew to me, but now it looks more like teeth. And I think the helmets are great. I love the helmets. I like the suits. How about that? And the silver is growing on me, how they all have a kind of a silver and black. And the swords are amazing. I love the swords. They are definitely better than the Dino Charge swords as sort of a cool looking prop that looks like a really dangerous sword. And I think they're very cool. This was weird, actually. Speaking of villains, the egg hatched. And he's like, I'm immediately going to work for you. So, okay. I thought they usually show up on planets and conquer. So I don't know why maybe the first thing they see, they imprint on. Maybe that's why he wanted them. What I didn't like was that the guy was like, "Ooh, I'm a monster." And it just seemed very like standard since Mighty Morphin Monster. They hyped him up like they were these new kind of thing. And it just seemed very samey. So again, all of my complaints aren't that there's something wrong. It's just like, oh, I want it to be different. Like, I don't know. And this might come from the fact that I just watched SPD and everything was so different and so exciting and fresh and new that it feels weird when I watch newer seasons that are less fresh than older seasons sometimes. And again, that hasn't happened yet. I love the fact that there's a dinosaur sitting here. I like that we have a psychic alien. These are cool things that I like. But I just worry that we got to see which way it goes. And it could go either way. It could go straight down the middle and kind of be a mediocre season. I want it to be a great season. Or at least a good season. And right now I feel like I don't know. I don't think it's hard for me project where it's going to go. I find it hard to believe it's going to be a great season or a terrible season. Right now, I feel like it's going to be very middle of the road, which, you got to have some middle of the road seasons, and I prove me wrong. I hope to be wrong. But that's just how the vibe I'm getting from it. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I have. I have more I could say, but that's all Big Dog and I said. Like, those are the points we were going to address. I look forward to seeing the next 2 Rangers. I look forward to seeing the next episode. I mean, I look forward to seeing where it goes, but every new season, I look forward to seeing it. And the first couple episodes are always the most exciting because you get to introduce to all the new stuff, and then it settles into its pattern. So, I mean, I'm obviously we're going to watch the whole thing and review the whole thing, but I hope that it does this. Yeah, I did like this flashback where he's like the Space Knight. I hope that after the first few episodes and all the newness of all the, this is pretty cool. This was a cool scene, I gotta admit. It was sort of like Orion, like I said. That was some bad CGI. I love this monster. It was sort of like Orion, except that he was fighting, I guess, is the main difference, whereas Ryan was already like defeated. But where is I going with this? A lot of what I'm saying is let's wait and see. I expect it to be like, this is awesome. Oh my God. And I'm like, this is fine. I hope it gets better. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of cool, like look at this. There was just a shot of him riding the dinosaur. Like, yeah, see, and it shows like the sporks, like they land on the planet, become gigantic monsters and just start wrecking everything with no rhyme or reason. And then, Void Knight sees one and he's like, okay, I'm Monster of the Week. Let's go. And here's the Morphin Masters, which was just, it was just weird. Very weird. Oh, I forgot about this part. I'm glad I put this on because the Morphin Master is like, okay, we're going to give you some powers. And the way we're going to do that is to turn all these dinosaurs, which are, I guess, sentient in this universe, that are on your team, that are your allies, and now they are statues. So are they dead? Are their soul? They're dead and their souls are in the morphers? It's weird. It's just a weird, I don't know what that means. It seemed like mortally questionable. I don't know. I mean, it just seemed odd. A lot of people pointed out that the Green Ranger in this scene has a skirt because in Ryu Soldier Green was a male, and in Dino Charge or Dino Fury, they're going to be a female. I don't think they're going to have a skirt the whole time. I think that was just a little nod there. And then there was a scene, which I'm not going to show you, which was like, how are we going to fight these big things? And the Morphin Master's like, we'll give you powers. And they show a bunch of Zords, power-ups, and weapons that we probably won't see till later. I'm like, that's a weird choice to show that, but okay. Yeah, so overall, it's fine. Let's see where it goes. I'll leave it at that. We'll have to wait and see what the Big Dog says. I'm really curious. My gut says he's going to feel about it the same way I do. My gut says he's going to be like, there's stuff I liked and didn't like, and it's like, it's okay, let's see where it goes. But I kind of look forward to him being like, it's terrible, or I love it, and then we can argue. So until then, I have been Gazbot.
Operation Overdrive is my favorite season.
And to the power. Now I have to find end credits. It's even harder because he doesn't there. Okay, here we go. End credits.